back to the castle, where nobody's innocent, everyone's dramatic, and common sense did not make the guest list. Let's recap the Traitors Season 4. This is kinda unhinged. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with another The Traitors video. We are on Season 4, Episode 4. So we begin this episode with the players coming down for breakfast. And Monet says that they need to interrogate all of the players that were out in the woods tied to the tree. They need to know what's going on and they need to check for inconsistencies in their stories. So Ron is the first player that was tied to the tree that came down. And of course they interrogated him right out the gate. They asked him what happened and he told them what happened. But he also said that he heard really light footsteps. And in his confessional, he said that they were so light, they were so tiny, and the tiniest person that he could think of was Mara. So he is totally convinced that Mara is a traitor. And then Monet tried to trip up Michael by saying, so when you guys were walking around Ron, like, what else happened? And Michael's like, what? I wasn't out there. I'm not a traitor. And Lisa is the second person that was tied to the tree that came down for breakfast. And Rob is scared for Lisa because he's like, if she gets any detail wrong, they're going to be on to her. So as soon as she sits down, they're like, what happened? And Lisa's like, well, let me get something to drink first and then I'll tell you. And if y'all know anything about Lisa, now this woman is an actress and she is over the top. So she got it together and she tells what happened. She gets all the details correct, except she adds in one thing. She adds in that the henchman had an axe. And Johnny's like, did Ron say anything about an axe? So that doesn't necessarily look bad for Lisa. It could be Ron not giving that detail because he's the traitor and he doesn't know that there was an axe. So Eric is the third person that comes down that was out in the woods and he gives his rendition and he says that he thinks that there were two traitors. And he says in his confessional that he heard a laugh, but he says he's not going to say anything to anyone until he's for sure about it. So the last person that came down was Kristen, which means that Caroline was unalived. And obviously she was so shocked to see Lisa and Candace, fellow housewives, unaliving her. And she was not happy about it. So after breakfast, Tiffany tells Kristen that she believes that Ron, Jam Jam, and Michael are traitors. And Ron and Eric are comparing notes on what they heard while they were tied up in the woods. And then we see Colton telling a group that he believes that Tiffany is a traitor. And he said that he's targeting her. So then we get to the mission. And in this mission, there are 10 effigies. And the players have to break up into groups and find spears. And when they find a spear in the woods, they come back and light it on fire and then put it right through the effigy and they yell out the player's name that they want to unshield because each effigy has a shield. So obviously all the players are starting out safe. But if somebody puts a spear through one of the effigies and yells out your name, then you will be up for being unalived. And there are 10 of these available. And for each one they light on fire, they get $2,000 added to their prize money. So no surprise, Ron is the first player to be unshielded. And then Monet unshields Tiffany. And of course, Tiffany is not happy about that. So she returns the favor and unshields Monet. And then Michael is next to be unshielded. And when he sees that he was unshielded, he wasn't happy about that either. So he returned the favor and he unshielded Tara. And then he yells her name about 1,000 times. And it's like, Michael, you only got to say the name one time. She heard you the first time because you were super loud. I don't know why this man is so over the top. We get it. Tara, we get it. So when they're out in the forest, Candace tells Lisa that Monet said her name. And Lisa's like, what? So by the end of the mission, they were able to unshield 5 more players. Steven, Lisa, Mara, Johnny, and Jam Jam was the last person to be unshielded. And he broke down crying. So when they get back to the castle, Tiffany tells Mara that Ron thinks that she's a traitor. And of course that annoys Mara. And Colton is campaigning hard against Tiffany. And Candace is like, I mean, guys, are we gonna do a repeat of what happened to Portia? So we get to the round table, and Colton is the first person to speak, and he throws out Tiffany's name, and he's like, I think she's a traitor because she said that she wants to go after Ron, Jam Jam, and Michael. He's like, I don't know about you guys, but I can't think 2 or 3 steps ahead in this game. I can only think about the now. And Tiffany's like, well, maybe I'm just smarter than you. And he's like, well, you probably are. She's like, well, go ahead and write me down. He's like, I will. And Tiffany says, Ian and Rob were my number ones. I wouldn't go after gamers, but Jam Jam would. And Jam Jam's like, why are you throwing my name out? What do I got to do with it? And then Mara confronts Ron about saying her name. And he's like, well, I heard footsteps. They were light. I think it's yours. And then what broke the whole thing open was when Eric said, I heard a laugh in the woods last night. And I'm pretty sure it was you, Tiffany. And this was the Portia moment all over again. Everybody is like, what? You heard a laugh? He's like, yeah, I know sounds. I do music and I have a good ear and I know what I heard. And Tiffany said, well, maybe you need a new career because you didn't hear me. And once again, Candace says, I feel like we're doing the same thing that we did with Portia, and we really need to think about this. And she pivots the attention back to Ron. And Ron basically says, look, get over it or send me home, because he is tired of hearing about this Portia thing. And then Dorinda and Mara pile on to the Ron train. And at this point, Tiffany is upset and she's crying because she really wanted to be in this game. And I'm feeling bad for her because I know it's not looking good for her in this moment. So they vote, and Ron gets 2 votes, Jam Jam gets 1 vote, and Tiffany gets 15 votes. And she is banished from the castle. And to see Tiffany go, like, knowing how good of a gamer she is, like, that sucked. I hated seeing her go. And of course, Eric is feeling terrible about it because essentially he's the new Ron, him and Colton. And Colton is like a super villain. He don't care for real. So when they're going up to their rooms for the night, Eric is like, I feel like I just got a friend unalived. And Colton's like, you did. And Eric's like, well, so did you. So the traitors meet up and they're going through the short list of the people that they can unalive, and they immediately say that they're not going to go after Ron, Michael, or Jam Jam because, I mean, to unalive them would be crazy. They're shields for them right now. So they said that unaliving Mara would be too blatant because of the situation with her and Ron. Steven would be a good choice. Johnny would totally be random. Then they thought about Monet because he said Lisa's name. But Rob is like, well, we really need Monet for the missions. And they're like, yeah, you're right. So we probably shouldn't get rid of him. And they said Tara is super valuable because she doesn't even know what's going on. So they should definitely keep her around. And that was it for episode 4. You guys let me know what y'all thought about it in the comments down below. And if you want more Traitors content, then go ahead and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.